I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
The world is holding its breath. Donald Trump has returned to the White House in a historic and decisive win over Vice President Kamala Harris, defying expectations and marking a seismic shift in global politics.
Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends on this. Thank you very much. Wow.
With his reinstatement as the 47th president, Trump has promised a new era of unapologetic America First policies, signaling to the world that his return isn't a replay of the past, but a ramping up of the vision he began in his first term. For allies, adversaries, and the millions watching from the sidelines, Trump's victory has shattered assumptions about America's role on the world stage and set the stage for an uncertain and potentially turbulent future.
And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body.
Emboldened by a clear mandate and a powerful conservative base, Trump has swept into Washington with a battle-tested approach and an inner circle determined to push his vision forward at all costs.
When they couldn't beat him, they tried to bankrupt him. When that didn't work, they tried to impeach him. When that didn't work, they tried to put him in federal prison, and when that didn't work, they even tried to kill him. But as sure as the American flag still waves, Donald Trump still stands, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to make America great again. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Let's do it.
In the days ahead, his administration's foreign policy shift promises to be profound. Allies are bracing for an era of intense pressure, while rivals eye opportunities to exploit potential fractures in American alliances. In every corner of the globe, governments are re-evaluating their alliances, recalibrating strategies, and preparing for a world reordered under Trump's iron hand. Welcome to the Global Insight.
Hey, look what happened. Is this crazy?
Donald Trump's return to the presidency has sent shockwaves around the globe. After a hard-fought campaign and a decisive victory over Vice President Kamala Harris, Trump's re-election has left the world scrambling to adjust. This was no close race. The former president clinched a sweeping mandate that silences doubt and fuels his conviction to reassert America's dominance without compromise or apology.
Massive, overwhelming sweep of every swing state, and even some of the states that people don't think are swing states. Massive, crushing victory.
For many in Washington, this marks a return to familiar battles and unfinished agendas. For leaders abroad, it has unleashed a wave of uncertainty that is as exhilarating for some as it is unsettling for others. Reactions from global leaders have been swift and telling. Longtime allies are recalibrating their strategies, bracing for the demands of Trump's revived America First policies. European capitals from Paris to Berlin are already voicing concerns over renewed pressure to increase their own defense spending and trade concessions. In Asia, apprehension is growing in capitals like Tokyo and Seoul, where leaders fear a sudden shift in the American security umbrella that they've long depended on. Beijing and Moscow are watching closely, ready to leverage the cracks that might emerge as Trump's unyielding stance reshapes U.S. foreign policy. With his return to power, Trump's message is clear. America's interests come first, and allies and adversaries alike will have to adjust. The world is on notice, and Trump's next moves will dictate a new geopolitical reality.
We are going to start by all putting America first. We have to put our country first for at least a period of time. We have to fix it.
Trump's return to power has resurrected his signature America First doctrine, an unyielding, transactional approach that places American interests above any long-standing alliances or multilateral agreements. Trump has made it clear that this term will be about cutting deals on America's terms, even if it means shaking the foundations of international diplomacy. In his view, allies are there to share the burden, or they're simply part of the problem. No partnership, treaty, or trade agreement will escape scrutiny if it doesn't offer immediate and measurable gains for the US.
We strongly support NATO, an alliance forged through the bonds of 2 world wars that dethroned fascism. But our partners must meet their financial obligations.
This hardline stance means allies are bracing for a new era of demands. NATO members, particularly in Europe, anticipate that Trump will push them harder to increase defense spending, all while taking a more hands-off approach to collective security. Trump has already hinted at a potential re-evaluation of US commitments, leading many to question whether NATO can rely on American support at all. In the Asia-Pacific, allies like Japan and South Korea worry that Trump's transactional style could weaken the American presence in a region already under pressure from an increasingly assertive China.
아마 트럼프 대통령 시기에도 이런 한미일 소위 삼각 이 협력은 잘 진행이 될 거라고 생각을 합니다.
At the heart of Trump's strategy is a willingness to disrupt traditional alliances to create what he sees as a stronger, more self-sufficient America. But the cost of this vision may be steep. As Trump pushes his America First agenda to new extremes, traditional allies could begin to distance themselves, while adversaries, particularly China and Russia, see opportunities to fill the gaps. Trump's foreign policy is set to transform the global order, replacing stability with uncertainty and demanding that America's allies pay for the privilege of protection.
Based on our very strong and frank discussions, they are beginning to do just that. In fact, I can tell you the money is pouring in. Very nice.
Even before Donald Trump's official inauguration, the impact of his election is reverberating across global conflict zones and diplomatic circles. Key players in ongoing crises are already shifting strategies, anticipating the ripple effects of a new US foreign policy. In Gaza, the leaders of Hamas have already called for an end to the escalating war, likely speculating on the potential for altered US involvement in Middle Eastern affairs under Trump's presidency. Meanwhile, Russia has taken a cautiously optimistic stance, with leaders anticipating a more lenient American approach towards its actions in Ukraine. This shift is more than symbolic. Trump's campaign promises, combined with his early cabinet appointments of hardliners and staunch America First advocates, have signaled to the world that significant changes are coming. As countries and groups recalibrate their policies, there's a growing sense that long-standing assumptions about US involvement and intervention can no longer be taken for granted. From Europe's borders to the South China Sea, leaders are watching and adjusting, uncertain of just how far Trump's willingness to disrupt the global order will extend. In the Middle East, Israeli leaders have already begun reaching out to Trump's team, hoping to secure increased support against Iran-backed groups and potential diplomatic cover for contentious actions in the region. For leaders in Europe and Asia, Trump's win signals a sharp pivot in US priorities, with potentially reduced involvement in areas where American power has long acted as a stabilizing force. As Trump's January inauguration nears, these early signs point to a world already bracing for and reacting to America's shifting stance on the global stage. Europe is preparing for a seismic shift in its relationship with the United States, bracing itself for Trump's heightened demands on defense spending, tough trade policies, and a potentially reduced American presence in NATO. European leaders know that America First will likely mean a re-evaluation of Washington's commitments to collective security, and they're already feeling the pressure to bolster their own defenses. Trump's firm stance on NATO funding, insisting that allies pay their fair share, puts countries like Germany, France, and Italy in a challenging position as they face the choice of either increasing military expenditures or risking a diminished US security umbrella.
And I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period, they have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem. I don't think it's fair to the United States. So we're going to have to do something because we're not going to put up with it. We can't put up with it, and it's inappropriate.
The economic front may bring additional strain. Trump has proposed a suite of tariffs aimed at key trading partners, including EU countries, which could destabilize economies that are already grappling with inflation and energy crises. With the potential imposition of 10% tariffs across the board, Europe could see a cascade of price increases on goods, impacting industries and consumers alike. Trump's plans to recalibrate trade deals to America's advantage will test Europe's economic resilience, and some countries may explore partnerships with other global players, China included, to offset any economic fallout. Trump's pressure campaign may well expose cracks within the EU as member states grapple with differing responses to his demands. Some, fearing economic or political isolation, may seek independent deals or concessions with the US, while others may look to bolster intra-European defences. Europe's unity, already strained by internal divisions, faces a critical test as it navigates a newly uncertain relationship with an America led by a president who views alliances as business deals rather than enduring partnerships. In the Asia-Pacific region, Trump's return to power has sparked a wave of apprehension. Allies such as Taiwan, Japan and South Korea, which have long relied on US security guarantees, are now questioning the strength of American support. Trump's hardline transactional approach, particularly his demands for allies to shoulder more of the financial burden, has many of these nations on edge, fearing that their security may hinge on conditions that they cannot meet. Trump's earlier rhetoric, demanding that Taiwan increase its defense spending to qualify for US support, has sparked unease in Taipei, where leaders worry that a pullback in American support could leave the island vulnerable to an increasingly assertive China. The stakes are high. China has been ramping up military activities near Taiwan, and Trump's less predictable stance may embolden Beijing to test the limits of US commitment to defending the island. In Japan and South Korea, where security concerns over North Korea and China are ever present, Trump's conditional approach has prompted discussion around boosting national defense budgets and even developing independent nuclear capabilities. Both Tokyo and Seoul fear that without a reliable US presence, they may need to look beyond traditional alliances, potentially igniting an arms race in a region already fraught with tension. Adding further complexity, countries like the Philippines and Vietnam, which have recently sought closer ties with the US as a counterbalance to China's influence, are now reassessing their positions. Trump's return and the potential for reduced American engagement has left these nations questioning whether aligning with Washington is still the strategic move it once was. The Asia-Pacific stands on a precarious edge, as Trump's demands and China's ambitions create a volatile mix that could reshape the region's power dynamics. Trump's second term signals a likely intensification of US support for Israel and a reshaping of American priorities in the Middle East. From the outset, Trump has doubled down on his alliance with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with recent meetings indicating that US-Israel ties will remain firmly intact and possibly even strengthen. This renewed bond comes as Israel faces mounting regional pressures, including the ongoing conflict in Gaza and escalating tensions with Iran-backed groups. For Israel, Trump's victory is a welcome assurance of US backing, providing diplomatic cover for actions that may further stoke conflict in the region. But Trump's Middle East strategy isn't limited to supporting Israel. His administration's America First doctrine suggests a selective approach to regional involvement, focusing on allies that align closely with US interests and sidelining those that don't. Iran, already a target of Trump's sanctions during his first term, may face renewed economic and diplomatic pressures, with Trump likely to adopt a hardline stance against any moves Tehran make towards regional dominance. This could include reimposing heavy sanctions, expanding covert operations, or even brokering stronger coalitions among Iran's regional adversaries. For other Middle Eastern nations, Trump's strategy will be a high-stakes game. Saudi Arabia and the UAE may seek to capitalize on Trump's stance to reinforce their own influence, while countries caught in the crossfire of US-Iran tensions, such as Iraq and Lebanon, brace for potential fallout. With Trump's priorities clearly defined, the Middle East is set to become a critical arena for testing America's strategic interests, with US policy likely to embolden allies and isolate adversaries. In this recalibrated Middle East, power and alliances will be tested as each country navigates the uncertain path laid by America's shifting priorities. Trump's return to the presidency has raised significant questions about the future of US relations with two of its most powerful adversaries, Russia and China. Known for his openly admiring statements towards Vladimir Putin, Trump's second term could mark a substantial shift in America's stance on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Throughout his campaign, Trump hinted that he could bring an end to the war within 24 hours, suggesting that he might pressure Ukraine to accept a peace agreement favorable to Russia.
I will end that war in one day. It'll take 24 hours. I know Zelensky well. I know Putin well. I would get that ended in a period of 24
You can break that deal.
100%. It would be easy. That deal would be easy.
Such a move could effectively legitimize Moscow's territorial gains and redefine Eastern European security landscape, sending a powerful message about America's priorities and limitations in defending democracy abroad. For China, Trump's approach is expected to be far less conciliatory. His planned 60% tariffs on Chinese imports signal a continuation, if not an escalation, of the trade war that he initiated during his first term. With China already increasing its influence in regions from Southeast Asia to Africa, Trump's hardline stance may further strain an already tense US-China relationship. Beijing, however, may view Trump's isolationist tendencies as an opening to deepen its own global footprint, especially in regions where America is retreating or reprioritizing its interests. Taiwan, long a sensitive issue for China, may become an even more pressing flashpoint as Trump's conditional support for the island leaves room for Chinese encroachment. The dual approach, appeasement towards Russia and confrontation with China, could reshape global power balances, testing US alliances and altering the dynamics of international diplomacy. Europe, in particular, may feel the strain of Trump's soft stance on Russia, while Asian allies are likely to grapple with the economic fallout from a prolonged US-China standoff. For the rest of the world, Trump's second term may signal a return to realpolitik where ideological commitments take a backseat to raw power and transactional deals. As Donald Trump prepares to assume office once again, the world stands on a brink of a new geopolitical era defined by uncertainty, bold maneuvers, and high-stakes power plays. His second term promises a shift that challenges the global status quo, with allies bracing for demands and adversaries testing the boundaries of American resolve. From reshaping NATO commitments and pressuring European allies to taking an unprecedentedly hard line on China, Trump's America First doctrine has already set world leaders on alert. His selective support for global allies, coupled with his unpredictable approach to international relations, hints at a foreign policy landscape in which every country must act swiftly and decisively to safeguard its own interests. The coming years will test alliances, strain global partnerships, and redefine the power dynamics between America and the world. Trump's vision of a self-sufficient, transaction-driven America could leave a lasting imprint on everything from international trade to security frameworks and climate action. How will Europe handle the pressures of Trump's demands? Can the Asia-Pacific maintain a stable balance as the US shifts its approach to China and Taiwan? And what will become of the Middle East and its fragile stability under Trump's bold, selective foreign policy? We want to hear what you think. How do you feel about the impact of Trump's foreign policy on global stability? Do you see this as an opportunity for America or a risk to its leadership? And how might this shift affect you and your country? That's it from the team at The Global Insight for now. As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel here at The Global Insight. Until next time, stay tuned.